Welcome to That's the Word, wholesome tales for the whole family. I'm Father James Yamauchi. Today's story, the 3 a.m. concert. Hank and Jim walked through the deserted streets. There was no one to be seen. Of course, what you expect when you're coming home from a party at 3 o'clock in the morning. Tonight was a night of celebration. They had partied hard, but now they had to get back to their apartment. Hank walked unencumbered, while Jim lugged his accordion that he had brought to the party. The way home led through the city center. As they passed through, the usually bustling city center was deserted. Their pace slowed as they gazed around the open area that in a few hours would be crawling with people. I wonder, said Hank, if you started playing your accordion now, if you get an audience. Jim set down the large instrument case. There's only one way to find out, he said, and that's to start playing. He pulled the accordion out and started playing. The sounds of Jim's accordion echoed through the deserted city center. After 2 or 3 minutes, much to their delight, a few people came up. Jim played another number. A few gave requests. He played a few more, and soon more people were joining them. In the middle of that deserted city center, Jim had quite the audience for his accordion music. Hank started passing around his cap. They later disagreed about the revenue from that performance. Hank said it was 12 to 15 cents, while Jim said it was 36. Regardless of the box office proceeds, the performance came to an abrupt conclusion when the police officer showed up. Hank and Jim would not have called their performance disturbing the peace, but this officer certainly did. After they were sufficiently reprimanded, he let them go on their way, and they continued heading back to their apartment. Young and full of dreams, Hank and Jim had many adventures together in New York City, sharing an apartment and sharing dramatic ambitions. Both eventually got their breaks, crossing the country to perform in Hollywood. Both became major stars and starred in some of the greatest films of all time, including 12 Angry Men, The Wrong Man, The Grapes of Wrath, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Vertigo, and It's a Wonderful Life. Throughout the years, and through all the changes in life, and despite their very real differences, these two men remained friends for the duration of their lives. Two actors and friends named Henry Fonda and Jimmy Stewart. And for this week, that's the word.
Favorite Henry Fonda movie?
We're looking through his filmography. Is that how I say the word?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure how the O accented and everything there. Filmography. Hands down, 12 Angry Men. And what I love about the movie is it's so simple in terms of the staging and everything, and yet it's so very dramatic. Being back in the jury room and that whole plot sequence. It's just a fantastic movie.
There's really no competition. It's hard to hold a candle to that movie just with any other movie.
And there's other movies. We were saying he was in Midway, and I always love a good World War II movie. He played Nimitz, who, of course, is Texas roots. Yeah, for me, it's 12 Angry Men. So now, Jimmy Stewart. John Peter, what is your favorite Jimmy Stewart movie?
Now, that is a tough question because none of them stand out like 12 Angry Men does among Henry Fonda's films. There's so many. There's The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. There's The Man Who Knew Too Much. It's a Wonderful Life. After the Thin Man, I think, is the movie that he's in. Fievel Goes West.
Fievel Goes West?
That was his last movie. He was the sheriff dog.
Okay. I remember that now.
Yes, that was a joke. It's not one of his greatest movies.
Okay,
but
I'm not going to let you end on that. We're also going to bring up Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Yes. He's just in so many fantastic movies. It is really, really hard to pick one. What would be your favorite one?
Well, I would just say one of the traditions I have as a priest, because since I can't be with my parents and with you and the other siblings on Christmas Eve, after I finish my last Mass at the parish, I always watch, not the whole thing, but part of It's a Wonderful Life. So I would just say that is something I always enjoy. And that has a very interesting history, too, of its own. It was not, when it was released, a classic.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's a long story that involves copyright law and television networks.
So, but it's fascinating. I like that. But I also like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. So if you had to pick one, which would it be?
Yeah, I might just say Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, just because there's just something very special about that one. They're both made by Frank Capra, and you can feel the similarity in that sense in Frank Capra's voice with the way that the people are portrayed.
And what I love about the story that we told today is we think of these actors, Henry Fonda and Jimmy Stewart, as larger than life, but here they are in younger years, just going to a party, and just for two young men. Be fascinating to see what that would have been like on that city center square.
If you enjoy That's the Word, please share the word. You can see the story extras for this story, the 3 a.m. concert, at thunderrock.org, where you can see pictures of Jimmy Stewart and Henry Fonda if you don't know who they are already. And we'll also just put down a bunch of different movies that we really like with them in them. Mostly Jimmy Stewart. Sorry, Henry Fonda. Thunderrock.org is also where you can sign up for our weekly newsletter and where you can find our social links in our email if you have any feedback or story ideas.
Maybe that just means we have to watch more Henry Fonda movies this year.
Clearly.
Thanks for listening, and join us next Wednesday for another wholesome tale for the whole family.